Selma, Alabama in 1965. Selma is like the capital of the Black Belt. It's a heavy concentration of African American in this part of Alabama. Members of the Klan had a sheriff in Dallas County in Selma by the name of Jim Clark. He was a very big man, and he was mean. White people were afraid of him. Black people were afraid of him. He wore a gun on one side, a nightstick on the other side, and he carried an electric cap rodder in his hand, and he didn't use it on cows. He wore a button on his left lapel that said, "Never." And I will never forget it as long as I live. When it was my day to lead a group of black men and women, elderly black men and women, down to the courthouse, just to go to the courthouse, go up some steps, try to get through a set of double doors, and get a copy of the so-called literacy test and try to pass that test. Sheriff Clark met us at the top of the steps. He looked at me and he said, "John Lewis, you're an outside agitator. You're the lowest form of humanity." I stopped. I looked at the sheriff and I said, "Sheriff, I may be an agitator, but I'm not an outsider. I grew up only 90 miles from here, and we're going to stay here until these people are allowed to register to vote." And he said, "You're under arrest." He arrested me, along with about 55 or 60 other people. Took us all to jail. A few days later, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Ralph Abernathy, came from Atlanta to Selma and led a march to the courthouse. And more than 300 people were arrested, including Dr. King and Reverend Ralph Abernathy. Teachers, ministers, lawyers, doctors, housewives, farmers, young children all went to jail. And then a few days later, about 30 miles from Selma, in a little town called Marion, Alabama, the hometown and home county of Coretta Scott King, the home county of Mrs. Ralph Abernathy, the home county of the late Mrs. Andrew Young, Jean Young. A young man by the name of Jimmy Lee Jackson was involved in a march to the courthouse. A confrontation occurred. He tried to protect his elderly mother. A shot was fired by a state trooper. He was wounded. And a few days later, Jimmy Lee Jackson died in a hospital in Selma. And because of what happened to him, those of us in the movement made a decision to march from Selma to Montgomery.